And do you think most, I'll say women, but most human beings compromise their desire, compromise even listening in to what they desire, feeling their body, acknowledging what what they desire?
I definitely do. And I'll go ahead and give my framework for this because really throughout the Western world, possibly the whole world, but definitely throughout the Western world, far and away the most common relationship advice that is given is that you need to be good at compromise. You need to learn to compromise. Having a happy marriage is all about compromise. And the fact is that is just completely false.
Right? Listen to the expert, my friends.
Well,
Listen to the
it's
expert.
false. We have both the divorce rate and an epidemic of conflict-free, passion-free relationships to show for it, you know? So the thing is that compromise is extremely useful if what you want to create is a bland, pleasant companionship. And I honor that actually that is exactly what some people want. If they're coming out of traumatic situations, like let's not knock a bland, pleasant companionship. However, that's definitely not what I want or you want or most women who know how to make things happen in their lives. And so if you want a juicy, nourishing, erotically alive relationship, well then uncompromising intimacy is the way to get there. And it's essential that I say what I mean by uncompromising. It's not that you always get your own way. It is not my way or the highway. That's not a nourishing relationship. Insofar as compromise is not honoring your desire, not saying what you want, not expressing what's really happening within you so that your partner doesn't have to be uncomfortable. That when it comes to being uncompromising, I'm talking about learning how to share really the truth of who you are, what's alive in you, and what you desire, and sometimes even your concerns, but to learn to share them in a way that your partner is glad to hear them, and that you make space for them to express themselves as well. Because yes, that gets back to your question. We compromise on our desire in order to keep things safe and our partner comfortable. And you do that long enough in little ways, like which shelf the milk is kept in the refrigerator, to big ways in terms of where you go on vacation, whether or not you have another child, like the whole spectrum of choices and preferences. It becomes a habit to just do what seems expedient rather than what you desire.
Don't ruffle feathers. Don't be heard. Don't be seen. Be a nice girl.
Yes, and I've had the experience so many times where I say to a woman, well, what do you really want? And she knows exactly what her husband wants and exactly what her kids want and what both of them need. And like, she's very oriented to what others need. Okay, yes, but what do you want? And so maybe she says, I'll just take it all the way further. Like she might say, I just want a day to myself. And then I'll say, okay, great. So if you have a day to yourself, how would you like to spend it? What would be nourishing for you? Oh, I don't know.
So what I'm hearing is permission to desire, permission to be uncompromising, permission to actually get quiet with what is alive in me. I'm really good at knowing everyone else's desires and serving others, but what about my desire? If I give myself permission to get quiet with what do I want? What do I want? What do I want to touch? What do I want to hear? What do I want to taste? What do I want to feel? What do I want to do? How do I want to be treated? How do I want to be heard? How do I want to be seen? What do I want my day to look like? To really get into that and then figure out how to communicate it. And I imagine there's many women listening and saying, okay, well, even if I allowed myself to get clear with my desire, if I tried to then communicate it to my husband or my children, I don't think that they would be able to receive it. So what then?
I love the question, because really that's what my work is. And I provide the answers in my book and in my programs, and I'm going to give an answer now, but I just really want to say that I am continually humbled at how, when people understand and make a small adjustment, it's so rich. I just received an email from this man who has been in the military for 25 years, married for 20. And anyway, the point is that he just asked his wife questions with a different quality of attention and presence. And they're both so much happier now. Like this really isn't complicated. I just want to say that. The problem, like at a society level, is complicated, but to actually pivot and change. So the answer in terms of how, there are 6 different elements, all of which sound super simple, and they are, but the application is deeper and deeper and richer and more refined. So the 6 ways to communicate successfully are to cultivate curiosity, embrace honesty, be kind, choose happiness, take responsibility, and seek growth. So we can talk about each of those as much or as little as you like, Maraya, but I will say, because somebody listening can implement this right away, that cultivate curiosity it's so important, and it's so easy, because if you think back to the feeling of being in love and like all that wonderful energy, that is all about being curious. Like, not only, but it's part of it. It's like, where does that scar come from? And what vegetables did you like when you were a child? And if you weren't in this profession, which one would you seek? I mean, the questions, the like unsatiated interest is so huge. And then we get together and things become familiar and comfortable, and that is wonderful. I'm not looking to undo that, but often it comes at the cost of curiosity. And so if what we've been talking about resonates at all, one of the simplest things to do is to just start asking open-ended questions where you're genuinely interested in the answer. There's no right or wrong response. And it can be serious, it can be whimsical. If you could be president, what policies would you implement? If you could have dinner with a celebrity, alive or dead, who would it be and what would you ask? It could be about sexual fantasies. It could be, what was the most gratifying part of this past week for you? In other words, it doesn't matter at what level, it just matters that you open and essentially are inviting your partner to reveal more of them, not because it's private, not because it's a secret, but because your conversations have become so familiar that less of you gets to be shared with one another.